Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Battle of the Hexes by Lidiya Foxglove, narrated by Lauren Sweet and Troy Duran. Chapter 1. Charlotte. Oh, yeah! Look at me! It's happening! I'm sparkling! I reached over and fist-bumped Furion.
Chew Omega mode achieved, he said, just in time for the sunrise.
Should we go to bed, now that you mention it? Am I blind? I blinked at him. My eyes were dry yet watery, and I was also kinda starving. Furion started unbuttoning his shirt. He tapped my chin, and I realized I was watching him.
Not blind,
he said, giving me a soft kiss. Good. I wrapped my arms around his neck, and he lifted me up and dropped me on the bed. My sock feet caught his knees, and I arched into him. This is the life, I murmured. Just playing video games all night with you and Alec. No worries, no technology sickness. After some marathon sessions, we had finally achieved the big new level up feature in Fortune's favor. He paused only a second.
I'm just glad you're safe, Charlotte. Safe from everything but me.
He slid a hand up my t-shirt and pulled the fabric up, baring my breasts, giving my nipples a little nip, which shot eager lightning bolts down to my core. Is that why they were called nipples? Because it felt good when someone nipped them? Whoever named them that knew what was up, I thought. They would have just been called suckles or nursers or something. Furion dragged me back out of my inane thoughts, which was a necessary skill for all my boys to have, by tugging down my pajama pants and spreading my legs so he could skillfully stroke me with his tongue. Girls, all y'all should date a canine shifter. They love to get their tongues in there. Oh, man. Oh, damn. I had missed Furion for unselfish reasons, but also highly selfish ones. I dug my fingers in his hair. I heard little boop sounds from the chat box as Alec was obviously trying to talk to us. He was typing from Furion's cabin on the other ridge. I hadn't been sleeping very well alone, so Dad said maybe Furion needed to stay with me. Probably because he'd known Furion since he was a kid, he didn't get as weirded out by him in my room. But Alec, Montague, and Harris were another matter. They were banished to the cabin, and he was very firm about it, even when Mom tried to convince him otherwise. Mom was here. It was going to take us all a while to get used to that.
Char?
Dad yelled.
You up?
Yeah, I gasped.
Were you up all night again?
No. Furion sucked on my clit in the middle of the word so that I squeaked guiltily. I yanked on his hair. He growled at me. I cuffed his head with my sock. We started wrestling.
Well, I was thinking we should go out for a special day with your mom, Dad said in a slightly stressed-out tone. Like, maybe we could drive to Helen.
Oh, okay, I said. I let the wrestling match play out to its natural conclusion, because priorities. I missed Furion so much, and even if he wasn't magical anymore, he still looked and smelled magical. And I guess a part of me craved that. I wanted things to be normal, if normal had ever really existed for me. I was starting to get over the awkwardness of having sex in my childhood bed because other options were lacking. After a quickie, I hopped in the shower and then picked out a nice sweater and boots, but I was jittery.
Helen is the tourist town, huh?
Furion asked.
It's like a faux German village?
That's the one. I think he should take her there alone and be romantic. Or maybe he should just take a weekend in Atlanta.
Do you want to get rid of her?
Oh my God, no! I cried. She's the coolest person I've ever met. Do you think this sweater is... The sweater was older and pilling, and also boring. I pulled other things out of drawers. I had a kitten sweater and a gorilla sweater from the ugly Christmas sweater party in 10th grade. Why did I buy so many clothes with dumb animals on them? What am I, 5?
Just be yourself, Furion said. Adorned in gorilla sweaters, fox pajama pants, llama socks, and sloth shoes.
Oh, God. It's even worse than I thought when you put it that way. I dress like a hipster nursery threw up on me.
Or what about this one?
With the Death Star?
The Death Star is classic, Furion said. Classic design.
I flopped face first on the bed. 3 days ago, my mom had been working for a high demon. I had set her free and convinced her to come home, so I should be pleased with myself. I thought she might have trouble settling in, and Dad would feel awkward around her. It didn't quite work out like I expected. From the first moment, my mom seemed to dominate the house. Dad brought down boxes of her old clothes from the attic. "Evan, you saved them?" she said, tearing open the boxes with excitement.
"I knew you'd be back someday,"
he said. Then she kissed him, deep and tongue forward. I averted my eyes. We all needed some ground rules to help each other neatly avoid each other's sex lives. Still, it was sweet. I was glad to see Dad's arms go around her, and the fact that he was obviously still as attracted to her as the day they met. Like, very attracted to her. Once he got over his initial shock, he was slipping right back into acting like he was in his 20s. I heard them speaking in low voices, laughing, calling each other lightning bug and firefly. Who knew? Don't get me wrong. I had my own life. I wanted Dad to be happy and taken care of more than anything in the world, and especially with my own real mom, so I wasn't jealous. It's just that Mom was so cool. I had been warned. She slipped right into her early 2000s designer clothes that looked timeless anyway, when paired with perfect makeup and slightly witchy jewelry, putting out a vibe that was somewhere between Stevie Nicks and some beautiful British actress. She had an accent, of course. I worried that she wouldn't want to be domestic, but our second morning she was up at dawn, having gathered wild berries out of the woods and made fresh scones and whipped cream to accompany them. I love to bake, but my baking just wasn't this A-level. I threw on the gray sweater and black pants and came downstairs. "So what is the plan?" I asked.
"Well, I thought the boys could come too," Dad said. "If Montague can drive, they won't all fit in the truck."
I suppressed my sigh of relief. "I'm sure he will."
"I'll make reservations at the grill," he said. "It's a little fancy."
"Not too fancy," Mom said. "You look beautiful, Charlotte." "Oh? Oh, yeah, my hair is still drying and, these shoes are old." Furion elbowed me.
"You do look beautiful."
"Don't you have a hairdryer, love?" Mom said. "Nah, that's what the air's for," I said. Really, I didn't want to throw Dad under the bus, because he was the one who always said that. He didn't want to run up the electric bill with anything. Plus, he didn't buy extra stuff. Sure, there were girls in high school who got very serious about hair, but they were in a different crowd from me and my nerd friends. "Evan, what have you taught my daughter?" Mom laughed. "The poor thing."
"I taught her how to use a drill,"
he said. "I'm staying out of this," I said. "I'll go wake up the guys." I grabbed my old barn jacket, and Furion and I walked down our hill and up his hill. I couldn't forget that I spent my summer in these woods, learning to tune my magic to my surroundings so I could wield spells more effectively and commune with the dead. My hand itched for my wand, which made for a perfect Gandalf-style walking stick. Now I was just ordinary human Charlotte again. My magic was gone to save Harris's life. A good trade. Yeah, the only trade I could have made. And I was with my perfectly normal boyfriend. Furion had spent so much of his life in these woods as a fox. and now he was human too. He glanced at me. He always knew what I was thinking. Then he reached in my pocket and pulled my hand out, warming it in his own.
"It's not the same," he said, "but it can still be good."
Yeah, I bit my lip. It feels really impossible to go to a normal college now. I wonder if I should just move to a city and we could rent an apartment together. Get ourselves together first.
"Sure, why not?"
Furion said. Do you know what you would do? I asked.
"I'm extremely talented and charismatic," he said. "I can do anything."
Oh, okay. Sure, that's my plan too.
"I don't really like cities,"
he said a moment later.
"I like acreage."
I don't think we can afford acreage.
"Don't you have inheritance money from Samuel?"
Yeah, but how? Where? Where is the Wizarding Bank?
"Not sure."
Still, we should have some long-term goals. Dream goals. What have you always wanted to do?
"To be at your side,"
he said. That goal is achieved, so what then?
"I don't need anything else,"
he said.
"Maybe we could start some sort of business together."
I do like that idea. I just hope you're really happy, Furion. You can be anything you want now. For a brief second, I saw that look on his face that showed me he didn't just want to be by my side, and he couldn't be anything he wanted. In fact, he couldn't be the one thing he actually was, besides mine. He couldn't be a fox, or go to Ethereum and see the ethereals dance, and he couldn't work magic. So, basically his entire identity. Maybe like a game-themed cafe, I said. Something fun and nerdy. We could go to Atlanta. Maybe we could find a place near a park. They have some nice woods there. I babbled nervously until we got to the cabin, but at least Furion kept a tender hold of my hand. He wasn't mad at me. In fact, as usual, he was going out of his way to make me feel better. But he was unhappy. I felt some responsibility. When Harris opened the door, I remembered what it was all for. He gave me that slow, naughty smile of his, the one that promised he was going to hassle and tease me unrelentingly. If I hadn't given up my magic, I would have lost that forever. We would have a world without Harris in it at all. How are things up at the bachelor pad? I asked. You're all awake already?
"My dad had us all waking up on military time,"
Harris said. Your dad was in the military?
"No." "I was up playing Fortune's favor with you,"
Alex said.
"Where the hell did you go?" "I was making up for lost time, Incubus,"
Furion said.
"You're not the only one who can charm the pants off our witch." "Oh, yeah. Well, it didn't take very well, did it?"
Alex said, snapping my waistband.
"Looks like she has pants on."
It's 40 degrees outside, I said, but I knew he was just teasing anyway. Montague actually was sleeping on the sofa. Family day trip, I said. This is exciting. Dad wants us all to go to Helen to eat at the grill.
"What is the grill?"
Harris said.
"That sounds general."
I don't actually know. It's probably not whatever salon your family eats at. Whatever.
"We don't eat out. We have a chef."
It's a tourist restaurant in a tourist town, and I think he wants to go there so he doesn't have to explain to Bill at the diner where my mom has been for 20 years. And he definitely doesn't want to take my super glamorous mom to the diner, and he definitely doesn't want to explain all y'all. So we're escaping town and having an awkward dinner at a grill, okay? Don't dress up too fancy and make me look bad. Of course, Montague and Harris still overdressed. They always did, and I guess I wouldn't really have it any other way. Alec, meanwhile, ran hot and could get away with a short-sleeved shirt in the winter, showing off his toned arms. Furion was the only one slightly put out by the situation, because he had always conjured his clothes magically, and now he had to actually wear real clothes. It was slim pickings where we lived, so he was wearing Walmart jeans and my dad's flannel shirt. But he looked adorable. I had never brought all of Team Ham plus Furion out among the general public before. "You guys are going to be a public health hazard," I said. "Old ladies are going to get in car crashes. Tweens are going to spontaneously hit puberty. I'm not sure this is even safe." Harris tugged my ponytail.
"You certainly are pleased as punch with yourself, aren't you?"
"Yes, I am, actually." I stuck my tongue out at him. "And no snarky talk from you. You live and breathe thanks to me."
"You all live and breathe thanks to me."
"Not the same, and you know it."
"Perhaps I'll find 3 sexy girlfriends in addition to you just to even things out."
"Try and find 3 more girls that will put up with you." Down the hill, Dad started yelling for us. We piled in the car for a drive through the mountains, and the conversation always turned to our future, even though it was a touchy subject. All the guys had expected to be a part of Warlock society when they grew up. They all still had their magic, however. I was the only one who had given mine up. But it was dangerous for them to get involved with the magical world now that Alec was a sinistral demon and Harris and Montague were on the wrong side of the council.
"I like the idea of opening a cafe," Alec said. "You know we would have clientele."
"Bartending would be better," I said. "Shake those guns. Not that I want any other girls looking at you. Maybe we could open a gay bar."
"None of us know how to actually cook,"
Montague said, ignoring my idea.
"I can't exactly whip up spiced blood for the locals."
"I can bake," I said tentatively, but I was thinking of Mom's knockout scone. Plus, I wasn't a commercial baker.
"What about becoming a yoga instructor, Charlotte?"
Alec said.
"I could be a personal trainer."
"I could teach foraging classes," Furion said.
"I can do some custom car work,"
Montague said.
"This sounds like a really cohesive business,"
Harris said, giving us all a look like we were idiots. I kept thinking of Ignatius's face when he said, "We fought for 50 years to get women admitted to Warlock schools and vice versa, and you threw it away." I clutched my head. Damn it. Can't I just enjoy myself and be a normal girl? I don't have to be a chosen one. But I had to admit that the idea of me teaching yoga classes while Montague put racing straps on cars sounded fucking ridiculous. "Can we just talk about something else?" I said, reaching up from the back seat to turn on the radio. "Umbrella, Ella, Ella." The radio got out before the mountains turned it into a staticky country station. Montague just blasted his mix CD instead, which got Harris arguing with him, and I guess that did the trick. But I was feeling nervous the whole way. Helen was the tourist center of the Georgia mountains where we lived. It was over an hour from our house, but once in a while, Dad had taken me there to go tubing. The buildings all had an alpine look, and it had a big Oktoberfest celebration. I'm not sure who got that started. It always made the town seem fake, but it was also charming, and I could tell Dad was in hardcore impress mom mode, which wasn't easy when we lived in the middle of nowhere. Since it was winter, the town was kind of dead, and we really stood out to the people who were around. I really did see a lady almost run a red light looking at my guys. On the other hand, I felt like I couldn't hold anyone's hand because I felt watched. In the magical world, we had been discreet, but both vampires and demons were often polyamorous, so it didn't seem that strange either. We're never going to be able to be honest in the real world. Like, never. If we ran a business and we ever let it slip that I was involved with all these guys, People would probably ban our business or something. My stomach plunged. We walked around for a little while, Mom and Dad ahead of us holding hands, eventually vanishing into a shop that sold jewelry and artwork, after reminding us to meet for our reservation at 7.
Does anyone else feel like we're being watched?
Montague asked.
Yes, Harris said. And I expect we are.
Oh? I tensed. I felt like losing my magic had also put blinders on me. Now they sensed something I didn't.
Do you think the council would let us go without observation?
Harris said. Are we in trouble? I asked.
We killed that demon for them, Montague said. Maybe they'll leave us alone if we don't cause any trouble.
Let's hope so. I was relieved when we made it to dinner. Your dad bought me earrings, Mom whispered to me, showing me silver skulls in her ears. I told him not to. He's still broke as ever, isn't he? But they're pretty. I can't believe that I forgot how much I missed him.
I can hear you,
Dad said, shaking his head.
I'm not actually as broke as ever. I'm just dipping into Charlotte's college fund.
The restaurant seemed like it was probably trash to Harris, while Dad's budget was probably reaching. The tablecloths were white and topped with candles, while he usually considered Cracker Barrel to be a hot ticket.
We have the private room reserved,
Dad told the hostess. Of course. Come on, the hostess said. The rest of your party is already here. Mom shot me a smile. I couldn't tell if she was nervous. Who? I demanded. Who? The hostess led us past some couples and ordinary little families enjoying their super-normal dinners, and opened a curtained French door into a private room where we were immediately met with screams of joy. Emily! Mom? Mom was immediately swarmed by a neatly dressed older woman and 4 men whom I could tell at first inhale actually smelled like werewolves, even though I barely knew what that smelled like, while Adia and Richard stood just a step back, waiting their turn, but beaming at me. It's real, I thought. It's really real. I have a family. Chapter 2. Charlotte. All of a sudden, I had arms around me from all directions as Mom and my grandmother pulled me into an embrace, and then I was piled on by my wolf grandfathers with their strangely familiar wolfish smell. It was like something I knew from my dreams, a woodsy, home-like scent. My own granddaughter.
Look at her. Fucking look at her. She's big. I keep thinking of her as a baby. She is an adult,
my grandfather Reese said. He was the one I'd met before. The rest I didn't know.
I know, but my brain can't take it. And who's this lot, eh?
The one who seemed to be the most loud-mouthed of the group sniffed around Montague and Alec, a little less so around Furion, and he finished with Harris.
Who's this private school prick? You're with them? I'm Harrison von Habsburg Nicolescu, if you want to start a pissing match. I'm sorry I didn't dress for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Whoa, I said. Harris, that's my grandpa-ish. I didn't know how to handle this. My grandfather laughed loudly, pointing at his ripped plaid suit like he appreciated the burn.
I like this one. He's got a little mouth on him.
Adia giggled nervously in the background, while Mom wiped her tears. I missed you all so much, she choked.
So these are your grandfathers, my grandmother said. Or your uncles, in a sense. It's always been complicated. We spent a lot of time among the humans, so your mother called them her uncles. Even Reese, who is her blood father. We used to say we had a brother who died, who was the father, said the fairest grandfather, who had an enigmatic smile. No one ever seemed to think it strange that the rest of us were competing for the widow's attention.
At home, I called them all Dad, Mom said, smiling. And they are. That seems like it still must have been hard to keep up, I said, even as I thought there was no way I could pass my group off as brothers anyway, unless I said two of them were adopted. Tawny Furion and Blonde Harris, both of them tall and thin, could have maybe been brothers, despite very different facial features. But Montague looked so classically Spanish that sometimes just looking at him made me crave paella. And Alec's darker skin and facial features reflected his blackish mom more than his whitish dad. Alec didn't talk about his background anywhere near as much as Harris and Monty, so I wasn't truly sure.
It was a lot easier to keep up back then,
Grandmother said. I had to think of her as grandmother because I already had my grandma, but she didn't seem like the Nana type or any other variant.
Before the internet, it was also a very swinging lifestyle we were leading.
I heard you guys were kinda crazy, I said.
Oh, were we ever? My God, the stories we could tell you would burn your ears off, wouldn't they, Dick? So, I'm your great-uncle Malcolm then, I reckon.
Grandpa Loudmouth took my hand in his and shook it.
Claude,
the blonde one said.
And this is Guy. We've met,
Reese said, through a pen cap in his teeth. He was already sitting at the table writing things down.
It's good to see you again too, Evan,
Claude said, everyone finally getting around to my dad, but he had always been a good background player, which I think is why he enjoyed a longer career as a roadie than as a musician.
Thanks, man. I hope you had a good flight,
Dad said.
I guess you're used to it. We hate flying,
Reese said.
Never get used to it. Wolves on a plane, defiance of nature,
I saw him write wolves on a plane, ain't it insane, horses on ships, ain't it a trip. Then he scratched that out and whispered,
No. David Bowie wouldn't fly,
Dad said,
for years. Right, that's true. Well, he was a changeling or something. No one ever said for sure, but just look at him.
The mundane direction this was turning was both comforting and bizarre to me. So, why are you here now? I asked. Is it because we defeated the Withered Lord?
Yes,
Grandmother said.
You should never have done something so dangerous, but you were all so wonderful. We knew that if we ever came to visit you, we would put a target on your back. I would much rather you had a long and happy life without us than a short and tragic one with us. But your mother's friends, well, they did get you involved. Maybe I shouldn't have protected you because you handled it so well, but that still just isn't something parents and grandparents could do. Now that the demon is dead, we can all relax.
A waitress came in, but no one had even sat down, much less looked at menus. We settled in and quickly ordered, except Montague, of course. He just had a drink. My grandparents regaled us with stories of their rock star life, and my parents reminisced about their early days, and I felt so happy just hearing this whole chunk of my history I'd never known.
We were so excited when you were born, my grandmother said. We had no idea it was all about to turn to hell, but there is still time to make up for it all.
Yes, I said.
And you probably have a lot of questions about how to navigate life as a witch, or not a witch anymore? Well, we do have a lot in common. Too much, really. I don't envy you, Grandmother said. It's a difficult adjustment.
Yes, I said. Yes, what now? That's my whole brain at this moment, to be honest. I don't know if anyone can answer that, because y'all were rock stars hanging out with David Bowie and...
We didn't actually hang out with him, Claude said. To be honest, he was pretty weird. We hung out with a lot of guys named Mick, it seems like, who was somebody's bassist. We weren't famous enough for the coolest parties,
Reese said,
but we were pretty big in Japan for a moment or two.
Anyway, Grandmother said,
We all have to figure it out in our own way.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?